Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Conversations on Modern Slavery, Free the Slaves podcast series. Conversations on Modern Slavery explores the complexity of modern slavery across the world, looking at its drivers, its manifestations, and its consequences. Featuring discussions about the latest research conducted by Free the Slaves, and featuring dialogues with eminent experts and frontline practitioners, this podcast seeks to amplify public awareness and galvanize action against modern slavery. Providing insights into the root causes, disclosing narratives, and pioneering solutions, Conversations on Modern Slavery is a must listen for everyone passionate about eradicating slavery. My name is Dr. Marta Furlan. I am Free the Slaves Senior Program Manager for Research, and I have the pleasure of hosting today's episode. In this episode with me are two brilliant and talented survivor leaders from East and Central Africa, Bernadette and Eunice. In this episode, we will talk about the Survivor Leadership Academy, an initiative funded by Freedom Fund and implemented by Survivor Network Cameroon and Free the Slaves, aimed at strengthening the personal and professional skills of survivor leaders and supporting them as they make a tremendous impact to the collective fight against modern slavery. Before we go into exploring the Survivor Leadership Academy, Bernadette and Eunice, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners so that they can get to know you and the amazing work that you've been doing in the anti-trafficking movement?
Hello, everyone. Good morning from Cameroon. I'm Eunice Ngwe. I am a survivor of labor trafficking. I work with Survivor Network, a female-led non-profit organization that advocates against human trafficking. We are into awareness raising, sensitization, economic empowerment in order to end modern slavery. We work with survivors of different kinds. We rescue them. We provide safe shelter and vocational training services in order to equip survivors to better reintegrate themselves into the society. I am a survivor leader after our Survivor Leadership Academy, and I am equally a survivor advocate trying to end modern slavery and human trafficking. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Bernadette Agano, and I'm very happy to be here and to be invited to this podcast. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Marta. I am based in the DRC, specifically in Goma, the Eastern DRC, and I am a survivor leader and a survivor advocate, and I love helping other survivors like me level up themselves. And so being the part of the Survivor Leader Academy was really a pleasure. And also I am the national program coordinator of Free the Slave in the DRC. So and I'm a singer too. I'm a singer too, and I use music for spreading awareness against human trafficking and modern slavery in my country, and especially in my region, which is more, exposed to human trafficking and modern slavery because of war and poverty and everything that is going on this side of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Eunice and Bernadette. Very nice to have you on this podcast episode. So could you tell us more about the Survivor Leadership Academy, what it is, and what have you been doing as part of the academy, the specific activities that you've been a part of?
I think I'm going first. The Survivors Leadership Academy let me start from the beginning. It was built as a result of we sat and we saw that there are a lot of survivors out there that are lacking in different aspects of life, and they can't get opportunities because they lack the skills, they lack the educational level, they lack most of the characteristics that employers need in order to get them into their space. And we saw that in order for survivors to get involved, especially when it comes to policy making and effective advocacy, these survivors need to be equipped with skills and both educationally, mentally prepared in order to be able to carry out effective awareness raising and sensitization. So we got the opportunity to stumble into a grant that was launched by the Freedom Fund. So we decided to get Free the Slave involved, Survivors Network, got Free the Slave involved, and we had to bring a couple of survivors together. That let's put in our best and see how we can get this project and equip ourselves as survivors across Africa so that we'll be able to face the different spheres of work, different fields that we are working in. So we wrote this grant. Unfortunately, we were funded, even though what we requested was not what came in at the end of the day. The funds were really, really, really limited as compared to what we had. So we had to bring us together and then look for facilitators that will help us equip ourselves to carry out this program. It was really, really enriching. I can say personally, my capacity was built in different aspects, especially when it comes to advocacy and when it comes to communication. When you want to work within a company or an organization, or even if when you want to carry out effective awareness raising and sensitization on human trafficking. So it was really great. And myself, even after the academy, what I learned has really helped me in my country, because after that program, I was able to carry out with some funds that was given as part of the grants. I was able to bring survivors across Cameroon in a capacity building training online, where I had to train them more on human trafficking and effective communication. And ever since then, we have now a coalition of survivors across Cameroon. So I can say it was really a great project and it was really successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Eunice. And Bernadette, would you like to add into what Eunice was guiding us through, perhaps from the perspective of Free the Slaves, how Free the Slaves and you specifically got involved in how you work with Survivor Network Cameroon to make this Leadership Academy a reality?
I was thinking, Eunice have just said it all, but on an FTS point of view, Survivor Leadership Academy was something not new, but it was something innovative, it's something that haven't been done before. So we were very excited, and it is a part of our survivor engagement program. And we really, really wanted to go very deep into that and to bring all survivors together, since even if FTS was a part of the leading of the program, but it was a program for survivors by survivors. And it was very, very powerful seeing survivors learning from each other, being mentored by experienced people, So it was something very, very powerful and strengthened even communication and relations between survivors all around Africa.
Thank you. I'm very interested in understanding more about how the academy was carried out. I understood that you met for a series of a few days in Nairobi, Kenya, and that you underwent a in-depth training on several aspects of capacity building and professional and personal development. So I'm wondering if you can share a bit more about what you learned throughout those sessions and which topics were covered and what you liked the most perhaps about the training session.
If I may start, for me, it was the trauma healing session, because I always believe that trauma healing is like the first aid, for a survivor. It's the first thing that a survivor should have as help before anything. And on a personal note, I was like, I'm already a survivor leader. I think I don't need this. And while we were being trained and have that training, those information on trauma healing, I just found out that I wasn't, at that top point of learning on trauma healing. So I learned so much. And yeah, so this helped me in my relationship with Congolese survivors, because we are also creating Survivor Coalition in the DRC and Survivor Network. And I just realized that I wasn't that trauma-informed. And it was very, very interesting for me. And it helping me even today when I'm getting in touch with survivors, when I'm trying to network with survivors. It's helped me in a daily basis, you know. So yeah, the trauma healing session was the top one for me.
I can say all the topics that we covered were very important and were very useful to me. But personally, I can say advocacy and communication were topics that stood out to me, because most often we just saw communication as like talking and passing, talking and saying whatever you want to say. But throughout that session, it dawned on me that there are various means in which you communicate, and not just communicating with different people. Equally learned that it was not just talking, the same manner in which you used to talk to other people, like carrying out advocacy and awareness raising, is quite different from how you interact with survivors. So I really learned quite a lot while covering that. And then equally on human trafficking, even though I can say I was part of the facilitator of that, I equally learned quite a lot with some of the questions that came in. That because as an organization, Survivors Network, we had already made outlined program and how, in case we want to go to anywhere to carry out awareness raising and sensitization, we had what we had to use in order to tell people or give out trainings on human trafficking. But as a result of the questions that came in, we had to rebrand that and add some things that were missing, bring up to standard what we were lacking. So those aspects of the training were those that actually stood out for me, and it has helped me even while I've returned back to Cameroon, because I discovered that most survivors here in Cameroon, they are lacking, especially when it comes to communication and advocacy. Some cannot communicate because they are not bold enough to talk. Some cannot communicate because they don't have that willpower or capacity to be able to discuss or interact with their employees, or even when they go out to seek for jobs. So that really helped me, and it has equally helped survivors here in Cameroon. Yeah.
Thank you, Eunice. Now, something that I found very interesting about the Academy is that when they put it together, Survivor Network Cameroon and Freedom Slaves didn't think of it as a one-time thing, but rather as a continuous process of professional and personal growth. So I'm interested in knowing more about what happened after those sessions of training in Nairobi in person. What happened once you went back to your home country? How did this process of being part of the Academy continued?
We first things first, we were first of all given some petty grants to carry out the same training in our various countries. So when we returned, I had to bring in survivors across Cameroon and try to give them 3 days online capacity building training, where I had to dish out a little bit of, even though not all, but I had to give out a little bit of what I learned over there. And ever since then, like I said, we have built a coalition of survivors across Cameroon, that in case we have any training or in case a survivor in Cameroon is needed, we can be able to pick that out. And those survivors, after that training, those survivors had to carry out awareness raising and sensitization in their various towns, in their various regions of location, in order to give out trainings on human trafficking and modern day slavery. And since that they are survivors, some of them had to use their stories as an example to give out in order for people to make them believe that actually human trafficking does happen. It's just that it happens and maybe they are not aware that it happens. So it has really gone a long way to be a success, and human trafficking has gone far and wide as far as awareness raising and sensitization is concerned.
So for me, I think Eunice have also once again said it all, but what I may say is that what I love is the fact that not only it's a continuous program, but every time Survivor meeting, because as Eunice said, there are these meetings where we still have those continuous mentorship training programs. And I can see from other survivors that are part of the Survivor Leadership Academy, when we are having some discussion, talking about, oh, that session helped me network, and now I'm able to apply for this fund, now I'm able to help, because some of them have now their own organizations where they are doing advocacy, they are doing sanitation on modern slavery, which is very, very great. So this is something that it's a product of the continuity of the Survivor Leadership Academy program. And yes, so these sessions, these mentorship sessions, these training sessions are very important. And for the next step, I understood. So Survivor will be leading these sessions from what they have learned. And then they will be leading this training session, mentorship session. So it will be learning with survivors, by survivors, for survivors, which is very powerful.
Thank you. And can I ask you, what was if I can call it, the best moment of the academy and experience that, looking back at those days of training in Nairobi, particularly stands out for each one of you, that you look back with a big smile on your face?
Every bit of my stay in Nairobi was fun. From meeting survivors, from the outings, and especially the facilitators were amazing. Every bit of the training was really, really good. One thing I think I never had enough of Nairobi, because the experience was really awesome. I have never been part of a gathering where everyone there experienced it or the other what I've been through, and everyone there seems to be okay. Yes, I have gone through this, but that is my past, and I want to move forward. And picking life the way it is and trying to build themselves to be better persons for other survivors out there. So it was really, really, really a great experience. And we had a lot of moments where we had to chit chat. We had outings that were very, 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 very interesting. And even while then the training, all of the icebreakers were really, really fun as well. The facilitators and the survivors were really, really, really engaging. That's why we said that if we are having this program next time, it's going to be a whole week, because we cannot have enough of what we have just in 3 days. Yeah, it was really, really fun.
For me, as Eunice said, it was fun from the start to the end. It was very fun. And what I love the most personally is the fact that when we came in, nobody, like, I won't say nobody knew each other, because some of us knew some of other, but it was like we were just, talking on a professional note. But after the training, it was a kind of a survivor family. And we really kept that feeling, and that, like, when you feel like you are all looking in the same direction, and it's something like indescribable, like, even when we're talking in the group all together, someone can have an issue and we see everyone jumping, everyone interested in, oh, is she okay? Is they okay? So in a personal note, it's kind of became, like, for me personally, a kind of my safe survival space. It's a survival family when, anything that will go there with it's safe. And this is very good. And it helped every time I'm seeing in the group, like, anytime survivor have an opportunity, they always share there. They always, so it's something very, like, I really like it. So yeah.
Thank you, Eunice and Bernadette, for sharing your personal impressions, and it truly feels like you've managed to build a beautiful base of support there. And as we move towards the conclusion of this episode, let's look a bit towards the future. How do you plan of using all the learnings that you got from the academy in your next steps as survivor leaders?
So if I may start, for me, we are already doing it. The next day, we're already applying all that we have learned. And as you say, it's a continuous learning program. And as a survivor, we are very happy learning. And for project, for survivor leader that has their own organization, I think Eunice will say the same. Like, it's something that it's level up our way of thinking, our way of project writing, our way of networking, communication, like the leadership. So it's something that we are already, like me personally, we're already implementing and we are already doing, and it's life changing for us, like in our own organizations, in our own work as a survivor, advocate, and leader. So it's something, a benefit, and that we are implementing on a daily basis. So yeah.
Yeah, just like Bernadette highlighted, as an organization, we have already been doing quite a lot. After the Survival Leadership Academy, we just had to scale up what we are already doing and equally see how we are going to change approaches on how we work, especially when it comes to working with survivors of different kinds and equally carry out awareness raising and sensitization. We have been equally looking at writing different grants and different projects that can bring forth the second cohort of Survival Leadership Academy, because that was not just the end of it. The plan was for it to carry on every year, provided we have fundings for that. So we are, even up to now, Survival Leadership Academy has not yet ended, because every month we still have our monthly meetings. We still have trainings that are going on with different facilitators. So it's still in the process, and we are still looking for it to continue and continue, because now we are working just with East and Central Africa, but we are looking next to come, we are working across Africa and even beyond. So that is a big vision that we had. That was when, though we started in a smaller platform, but we are looking at it as something that in the years to come is going to be massive. And we are not just going to be the survivors that are coming there, but we are coming there at that time as facilitators to give back what we have been learning in the years. So that is the vision we have of it, even after the academy.
Thank you so much, Bernadette and Eunice. Before we conclude our episode, is there any final thought that you would like to share, something that I didn't ask or didn't come up that you would share with our listeners?
If I want to something to before we round up, I am sure this podcast will get a lot of audience and maybe donors and people of good mind that will want to support this project. This is a lifetime project that it's survival for survivors, something that survivors want other survivors to become survivors advocate and survival leaders to fight against human trafficking. So what we need in order to foster the continuation of Survivors Leadership Academy is funding. If we are able to have more funds, we have grants that will be able to assist us in carrying out other cohorts of this academy, we will really, really be grateful. There are a lot of survivors out there that are really passionate about getting into the work, but they lack those skills and that capacity that will carry them or assist them to become who they really want to become. Survival Leadership Academy is a platform where we build survivors from a vulnerability level and carry them up to that level where they can feel they are okay to face the society with their stories. To that level where they can be able to reach other survivors and get them out of captivity or where they are So if we have an opportunity to carry out such trainings and other cohorts of Survivor Leadership Academy, it will go a long way to animal trafficking, but it will go a long way to empower survivors to become who they want to be in the quest to end human trafficking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eunice, for that. So for me, what I will say, as Eunice said, we believe that this podcast will be seen by so many people, survivor included. So my message is for survivors who maybe accidentally seeing this podcast, or maybe it have been shared and you have just seen it. So know that you have a family. We are here, your fellow survivors, and we are raising awareness on modern slavery and all our lived experience. You are not alone. And if you would like to become a survivor leader, a survivor advocate, Free the Slave is there, Survivor Cameroon is there. You can reach to any of our organization and know that we will be there waiting for you open-handed. So thank you.
Thank you, Bernadette, for this very welcoming message. And thank you for being the guest of this episode of Conversations on Modern Slavery. And thank you to all our listeners for being with us until the end. I remind you that all the podcast episodes of Conversations on Modern Slavery are available on Spotify, and that you can follow the updates of Free the Slaves on our website, on LinkedIn and X. Thank you, and until next time.
Welcome. Thank you, Dr. Marta. And thank you to all the listeners.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marta. Thank you for having us too.